stop everything. Because what I'm about to unravel isn't just another messy headline. It's a tragedy that has exploded in front of millions and left a woman shattered. For years, Doug Christie was praised as the devoted husband, the one man who never wavered in his loyalty to Jackie Christie. Their marriage was held up as proof that reality TV love could survive the cameras, the chaos, the endless rumors. But all of that came crashing down the moment whispers turned into evidence, and evidence turned into public humiliation. The internet didn't just hear about this betrayal. They watched it unfold, piece by piece, leak by leak, until there was nothing left of Jackie's fairy tale but broken glass and tears. What the world is now dissecting is bigger than a fling. It's the destruction of a woman's dignity and the collapse of a family's entire image. The first shock hit like a bomb when allegations surfaced that Doug Christie had been carrying on a secret affair. And not with some stranger hiding in the shadows, but with Brandi Maxiell, someone who once sat close enough to be called a friend. The betrayal cut through Jackie like a knife because this wasn't just a husband stepping out. It was a woman she once trusted allegedly stepping in. Fans couldn't believe it. The same man Jackie defended through every storm, the man she sacrificed for, the man she built her name alongside, was now at the center of a scandal so big it tore through the internet like wildfire. Hashtags like "Star Jackie betrayed" and "Star Doug exposed" overtook feeds. TikTok edits, Twitter threads, and Instagram collages plastered every corner of the digital world. And then came the clip that changed everything. During what was supposed to be an ordinary interview, Jackie, known for being larger than life and unshakable on camera, collapsed. Her hands trembled, her words broke, her face cracked with anguish, and before anyone could even cut the feed, she fainted in front of a live audience. That one moment, Jackie falling apart in real time, was screen recorded, reposted, and shared millions of times. Within minutes, a Jackie collapsed was trending globally. Fans weren't just shocked. They were grieving alongside her, posting heartfelt messages, replaying old clips of her defending Doug, and asking the same haunting question: how could he do this to her? The aftermath was chaos. Jackie Christie was seen leaving her home covered in oversized sunglasses, refusing to answer questions, her head low as paparazzi swarmed. Insiders claimed she hadn't eaten in days, hadn't slept more than a few hours, and spent most of her time locked in her bedroom crying Doug's name over and over. The public wasn't just watching gossip unfold, they were watching a woman unravel. Friends begged her to stay offline, but Jackie couldn't. She scrolled through every comment, every meme, every post dragging her name into the dirt. She punished herself by reading it all, unable to look away from her own humiliation. Meanwhile, the internet turned Brandi Maxiell into the villain of the decade. Fans flooded her pages, accusing her of betrayal, of snake-like behavior, of destroying a family for selfish gain. Old footage of Brandi smiling at Doug during reunions resurfaced and went viral with captions like, "The eyes never lie." The silence from Brandi's side only made things worse. People demanded answers. Was she really in love with Doug? Was it a fling? Was it something that had been happening for years right under Jackie's nose? Every theory took off like wildfire, with conspiracy threads mapping out timelines, pulling old interviews, and rewatching episodes for clues. But the darkest twist came when leaked audio hit the internet. In it, voices alleged to be Doug and Brandi whispered about meetings at hotels, about Jackie being a problem, about pushing her further away so they could eventually be together without hiding. The audio was grainy, distorted, but one chilling line burned itself into memory. "We just need to push Jackie further away." That single sentence was enough to send fans into a frenzy. What was once suspicion became proof in the eyes of the public. It wasn't just an affair anymore, it was betrayal calculated in the shadows. Every corner of social media erupted. On Reddit, fans pieced together timelines of Doug and Brandi allegedly attending events separately, but always managing to be in the same place. On Twitter, users compared old clips of Jackie praising Doug next to whispers of his disloyalty, turning her loyalty into memes about wasted devotion. Instagram accounts that normally posted fashion and beauty suddenly shifted to dragging Brandi, calling her out with fiery captions like, "You don't just betray a friend, you destroy her." The internet became a war zone, and at the center was Jackie's broken heart. For Jackie, the humiliation wasn't just personal, it was professional. For years, her brand was built on being the woman who could survive anything, who could outlast every feud, every storyline, every attack. She was untouchable. But with Doug exposed, her entire empire cracked. Endorsements that once lined her pockets started going silent. A multi-million-dollar deal was rumored to be on hold, brands fearing the association with scandal would poison their image. Producers were scrambling. Do they capitalize on the chaos for ratings, or do they cut ties to avoid the backlash? Jackie, once the queen of her own story, was suddenly powerless in how it was being told. The fallout grew darker when paparazzi captured Doug Christie himself. While Jackie was breaking down and Brandi was being dragged online, Doug chose silence. No statement. No apology. Not a single word. His refusal to speak became its own narrative. Fans took his silence as guilt. One viral tweet read, "If Doug loved Jackie, he'd fight for her. Silence means he's guilty." It racked up hundreds of thousands of likes, turning into a mantra across the internet. Doug's silence wasn't calming the storm, it was feeding it. And Jackie, watching every second from her phone, collapsed again. One source close to her revealed she screamed so loud her voice cracked, smashing picture frames off her walls, sobbing into the floor as friends rushed to hold her. This wasn't just gossip. This wasn't just entertainment. This was torment being lived in real time, a tragedy so raw that even those who never cared for reality TV found themselves unable to look away. The betrayal was everywhere, on screens, in headlines, in hashtags. And through it all, the most haunting part was Jackie's tears. Her face, once fierce and commanding, now tear-streaked and broken, became the only truth fans believed. Doug might deny. Brandi might stay silent. But Jackie's collapse spoke louder than any words, and yet this was only the beginning. Because behind the shattered glass, behind the trending hashtags, behind the silence of Doug and the denial of Brandi, Jackie was quietly making her next move. Sources close to her whispered that she was done protecting Doug, done hiding her pain, done pretending her marriage could be saved. What she was about to do next wouldn't just be about heartbreak, it would be about revenge. And if you thought the collapse was devastating, wait until you see the war Christie is about to wage. When Jackie Christie finally pulled herself up from the rubble of collapse, she made one decision that shook her circle to the core. She was finished protecting Doug Christie. For years, she fought his battles, defended him against rumors, even carried the weight of his mistakes on her own back. But this time the betrayal was too deep. Sources close to her whispered that Jackie had already sat down with some of Los Angeles' most ruthless divorce attorneys, the kind who don't just fight for settlements, they fight for blood. Word spread that Jackie was preparing to launch a $50 million lawsuit against Doug, not just for the years she invested, not just for the humiliation, but for what she called the theft of her entire life. In the leaked filings, lawyers spoke of emotional abuse through deception, citing the audio where Doug and Brandi Maxiell allegedly plotted to push Jackie out of the picture. If this storm landed in court, it wouldn't just be divorce. It would be one of the ugliest public battles in reality TV history. But just as Jackie's legal knives were being sharpened, Brandi finally broke her silence. It happened late one night on Instagram Live. The feed went shaky as Brandi appeared, her face streaked with tears, her voice trembling but defiant. "This is a setup. I never betrayed Jackie. I never wanted Doug. Somebody is trying to destroy my name, and I won't let it happen." She claimed the leaked audio was fabricated, insisted the voice wasn't hers, begged fans to stop sending her threats. But instead of clearing her name, her words backfired. Thousands flooded her comments with fire emojis and venom. Some called her a liar. Others accused her of crying crocodile tears. One viral TikTok stitched her denial next to an old reunion clip where she gazed at Doug with a smile. The caption reading, "The eyes never lie." Fans picked apart every pause in her live, every breath she took, every detail of her story that didn't line up. And just as her denial began circling, the internet delivered its next blow, hotel security footage. Grainy but damning, the video showed Doug and Brandi arriving at the same hotel, just minutes apart, on the same night. They weren't filmed together, but fans didn't need confirmation. Overnight, the hashtag #JeerHotelReceipts exploded across every platform. The footage became gospel. For Jackie's lawyers, it was gold. For Brandi, it was a nightmare. And for Doug, still choosing silence, it was another nail in the coffin. The internet no longer debated whether an affair had happened. They debated how long it had been going on and how much Jackie had been kept in the dark. Jackie's legal team seized the moment. Insiders claimed they told her she now had leverage to demand not only massive payouts, but also control over properties, retirement accounts, and brand assets tied to Doug's name. Jackie, once the loyal defender, was now being advised to tear down everything Doug had built. To her, this wasn't just divorce, it was war. She wanted to see him stripped of everything, to humiliate him the way he humiliated her. Doug's silence, however, became its own poison. While Jackie sharpened her legal weapons and Brandi tried to deny her way out of the fire, Doug said nothing. Not one interview, not one post, not even a denial. His refusal to defend Jackie or even himself created a vacuum that fans filled with rage. One tweet that gathered over 200,000 likes read, "If he was innocent, he'd be screaming it. Silence is guilt." Another viral post said, "Jackie defended him for decades. He can't give her a single word now?" Each day he stayed quiet. The hate grew louder. And then came the whispers that sent shockwaves through both fan circles and production rooms. Jackie's legal team was considering forcing Brandi into court. Rumors spread that subpoenas were being drafted to compel her testimony under oath. Imagine the headlines: Brandi Maxiell forced to testify in Jackie Christie versus Doug Christie divorce case. The thought alone made fans salivate, demanding to see Brandi grilled in front of cameras, her denials shredded by lawyers. Insiders said VH1 producers were scrambling, torn between capitalizing on the chaos for ratings or cutting ties to avoid accusations of exploiting Jackie's suffering. Meetings behind closed doors stretched late into the night. Some execs wanted a spin-off dedicated to Jackie's survival. Others feared the backlash would bury them. While the networks argued, Jackie herself spiraled between extremes. Some days she screamed into the phone that Doug would pay for this with every dollar he had. Other nights she curled into bed whispering that she couldn't believe she lost both her husband and her friend in one brutal strike. Friends close to her described her moods like whiplash: fury one moment, despair the next, exhaustion everywhere in between. Cameras didn't need to roll for drama to unfold. Jackie's life had become the most devastating, unscripted scene of all. On the other side, Brandi vanished. She canceled appearances, turned off her phone, stopped responding to producers altogether. Insiders claimed she was terrified. Jackie's fan base had become a mob, some even showing up outside Brandi's home, chanting Jackie's name and demanding she confess. Security was allegedly called in to keep watch. Brandi, once a familiar face on screens, was now a ghost hiding from a world that branded her a thief of love and loyalty. Through it all, Doug remained silent. That silence was no longer just frustrating, it was damning. To Jackie, it screamed proof of betrayal. To Brandi, it screamed abandonment, leaving her to burn alone. To fans, it was confirmation that the affair was real, because no innocent man would watch two women tear each other apart and say nothing. Doug's silence was louder than any confession, louder than any denial. And as the courtroom storm brewed, it became clear that this wasn't just about Jackie's broken marriage anymore. It was about reputations, power, and revenge on a scale reality TV had never seen. By the time the second act of this nightmare closed, the battle lines were drawn. Jackie was arming herself with lawyers and evidence, ready to burn Doug down to dust. Brandi was denying, crying, hiding, but still drowning under the weight of receipts she couldn't outrun. Doug was mute, shadowed, guilty in silence. And fans? They were glued to every leak, every rumor, every video because they knew what was coming next. This wasn't going to end quietly. This was betrayal turning into legal warfare, a family ripped apart in real time, and a legacy on fire. For weeks after the storm first hit, Doug Christie disappeared behind a wall of silence. He left Jackie Christie gasping for answers, left Brandi Maxiell drowning in accusations, and left fans to rip apart every detail of his life without him saying a word. But silence, no matter how heavy, doesn't last forever. And when Doug finally opened his mouth, the sound of it tore through everything like glass shattering in the dark. It wasn't during a planned interview or some carefully orchestrated statement. It was raw, messy, and caught by cameras at a charity event in Los Angeles. Paparazzi swarmed him, shoving microphones in his face, demanding to know the truth. For the first time since the scandal began, Doug snapped. His voice cut sharp through the noise. "You don't know the truth. Stop dragging my name. Jackie knows the truth. Brandi knows the truth. I'll speak when I'm ready." That single outburst was enough to set the internet on fire. Within minutes, fans dissected every syllable, every flicker in his eyes, every twitch in his jaw. Some swore it was a confession, that Doug had just admitted both Jackie and Brandi were complicit in keeping secrets. Others said it was proof he could no longer hold his lies together. His words weren't healing wounds. They were gasoline on a wildfire. Clips of his outburst hit millions of views overnight, triggering new hashtags. Doug snaps. He admitted it, and Nar's truth or lie. Jackie, already teetering on the edge, reportedly collapsed again after watching the footage. Sources said she screamed through tears. He blamed me. He put this on me. In a fit of rage, she smashed a glass table, slicing her hand open, leaving paramedics to treat her as cameras waited outside her home. Her pain had become public entertainment. Her heartbreak consumed like episodes of a show she never agreed to film. But the most explosive moment came when fate forced Jackie and Doug back into the same room. It wasn't a reunion, it was a showdown. Insiders claimed producers deliberately leaked Jackie's location to press, knowing Doug was scheduled to arrive. When the two finally locked eyes, the air shifted. Jackie's fury erupted across the room, her voice cracking as she shouted through tears, "You destroyed me! You destroyed us! For her!" Cameras rolled, fans screamed, security scrambled, but the damage was already done. Doug stood frozen, jaw tight, refusing to defend himself. And then, as if scripted by the cruelest director, Brandi Maxiell appeared. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jackie's tears turned into daggers as she pointed straight at her and cried out, You did this! You stole my life!" Brandi, pale and shaking, muttered back, "It's not what you think," but nobody cared. The crowd booed. Fans shouted, "Homewrecker!" Security had to drag Jackie away before fists flew. The footage hit 10 million views in less than a day, plastered across timelines with hashtags like #Justice for Jackie, #Doug betrayed, and #Brandi exposed. The betrayal wasn't just gossip anymore. It had become cultural history. The fallout didn't stop there. Doug's own family turned against him. Relatives who once stayed silent now gave interviews, confirming Jackie's pain. One cousin said Doug had been living a double life for years. Another revealed Jackie sacrificed everything for him, only to be discarded for lust. Even Doug's mother reportedly admitted through tears that she could no longer defend her son. The betrayal was no longer just Jackie versus Doug. It was Doug versus everyone. Meanwhile, Jackie's legal team grew bolder. Leaked documents showed she wasn't just filing for divorce. She was demanding complete seizure of assets. Houses, retirement accounts, every piece of wealth tied to his name. She wanted to erase him financially the way he had erased her emotionally. For Jackie, this was no longer about heartbreak. It was about revenge, about showing the world that Doug Christie could be stripped of everything he once stood on. And Brandi Maxiell? Her fall was merciless. Sponsorships pulled out overnight. Public appearances were canceled. Fan protests erupted outside VH1 headquarters, demanding she be fired permanently. Videos circulated of her being booed at restaurants, escorted out by security as customers chanted Jackie's name. Her once glittering reality TV career was now reduced to ashes. She couldn't post online without being flooded with venom. She couldn't step outside without cameras catching the disgust on strangers' faces. Insiders whispered that she barely left her home, living in fear that Jackie's fans would come for her. Her name, once tied to glamour, had become synonymous with betrayal. Doug, meanwhile, spiraled deeper. Paparazzi caught him stumbling drunk outside a hotel, slurring that nobody understands what really happened. The clip went viral instantly. Some mocked him, others pitied him, but everyone agreed. The once untouchable Doug Christie had fallen. His silence, his drunken words, his refusal to take accountability, all of it painted a picture of a man unraveling under the weight of his own lies. The final blow came when Jackie Christie released a statement of her own. Sitting in front of cameras, her face pale, her voice trembling, she spoke through tears. "I gave him everything. My youth, my loyalty, my name, my soul, and he left me empty. I don't care about the money anymore. I don't care about the fame. I just want my life back. But it's gone." She broke down mid-sentence, sobbing too hard to continue, and the footage was broadcast worldwide. Fans declared it the most heartbreaking moment in reality television history. Millions cried with her. Millions reposted her tears with captions like, "This is what betrayal looks like." In that moment, Jackie wasn't just a reality star. She was a symbol of what it means to be destroyed in public. By then, Doug was exposed and broken. Brandi was branded permanently as a homewrecker, and Jackie was left standing in ruins, her life ripped apart in front of the entire world. This wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a cultural earthquake, One that rewrote legacies, destroyed reputations, and left scars that will never fully heal. Doug thought silence would save him. Brandi thought denial would protect her. But in the end, the only truth anyone believed was Jackie's collapse, Jackie's sobs, Jackie's devastation. Because tears don't lie. Betrayal this deep doesn't hide. Now the haunting question remains, how does Jackie recover? How does a woman who gave her entire life to one man walk away with nothing but broken glass and shattered trust? Fans say she'll rebuild, that her strength will return. Others whisper she'll never be the same. And Doug? Will he ever face justice, or will he hide until the world forgets? Will Brandi ever escape the label that now follows her name like a shadow? Or has reality TV delivered its most devastating storyline yet? One no producer could have written, one no script could have staged. Because in the end, there were no winners here. Not Doug, not Brandi, not Jackie. Only heartbreak. Only humiliation. Only the haunting reminder that sometimes the people we trust most are the very ones who destroy us completely. And as the cameras fade, one truth still screams louder than all the noise. This was never just an affair. This was betrayal so deep it turned a marriage into rubble, a family into chaos, and a legacy into ashes, before the entire world's eyes. The entire world's eyes.